Hello and welcome back to the Blonde with a Pod podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. I want to start off this with acknowledging a podcast that I have been indulging in recently. It is Alexis Wren and her friend slash sister's podcast. So her friend is Allie and they have a podcast together. I honestly haven't heard Alexis Wren's name in a while. I know that she was a popular influencer. I think she did like travel vlogs. She had like a really popular ab workout. And then all of a sudden I saw a TikTok that she was doing spoken word poetry, and they do talk about that in their podcast. Her friend Allie is a really good writer, and their podcast is called the Easy A podcast, which is sort of going to tie into today's episode's theme. And their podcast it's all about getting that easy A in life. I didn't want to like misquote what their podcast was about, but it's all about, like, they say they want to teach you how to hack the system rather than escape it. So like making life work for you instead of the other way around, which is something that I say. And then they see themselves as students of life. They're curious and they want to explore the edges of life's paradoxes. I love that. I feel like I talked about in the last video, you're constantly learning, you're constantly a student. And when I discovered this podcast, it was just like such like food for the brain. I'm like cringing, I'm sorry. They're just like trying to find like easier ways to be more in touch with yourself and not make life harder, because the less in touch you are with yourself, the longer everything's gonna take. I just feel like a lot of things can be a lot easier if you know deep down where things are coming from, how you're feeling, what's affecting your behaviors and moods. So this is all of the life hacks I've learned by the age of 22. And by life hacks, I mean more like, not like the life hack, like sort of DIY stuff that you would do, like hands-on stuff, like kitchen and cooking hacks. Like those are not the hacks I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the emotional intelligence hacks, things I've learned about myself and like how I behave, and things that that have helped me with my future and knowing like where I want to go in life. So the first hack, I guess, is that I have paid attention to synchronicities and the universe or God trying to guide me in the right direction. So a lot of times you're being communicated to by the universe, and this might sound like super woo-woo. I'm gonna try to break that down and why I think that is. I think it sort of is like evolutionary. We as a species have evolved and been able to survive because of us being aware and paying attention to patterns and certain things that may lead to danger or may lead to like success. We've noticed those patterns and changes and evolved from that. Like that's sort of like how we came to be and where we are today. You want to pay attention to the things that are attracting you towards them in life, whether that's a passion, whether that is someone having a conversation with you that maybe you thought was a coincidence. Maybe you ran into someone and they're talking about something and it seems like an opportunity that's attracting you to it. Say that is viewed as a coincidence and you don't really like second guess that, like why you're attracted to the conversation. You could just go about your day and maybe like not explore that opportunity. But there's been a lot of times in life that I just had like chance encounters, and not even just that, but honestly dreams where something came to me in a dream. And I know that sounds crazy, and it related to something that I was meant to do in life, or that I believe I was meant to do. It triggered something where I was all of a sudden I was inspired, and I was just like, wait, I don't know if that was a coincidence or if that was meant to happen. Why did that inspire me so much? The first thing was just like starting a new sport in high school. I had a dream where I was playing a certain sport. In that dream, the next morning I woke up, went to my mom, and I said, I need to do this sort of like sport summer camp, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try out for the JV team. And I did that for the next 8 years actually, because not only did I do that sport in high school, I also did it in college. I did a club sport. So that's crazy, right? Because think about all the things that shifted in my life that gave me opportunities and friends and connections. And it also kept me healthy throughout high school. It gave me like a team sort of foundation of like learning what it's like to be a part of a team. Because before then, I'd only done kind of individual sports. I did dance, I did ice skating. That introduced me to a team environment, and I would have never thought to do that if I didn't have that sort of like trigger of like, let me follow this this gut feeling and let me follow this instinct. And so that would be my first hack, is listen to the instincts, listen to the so-called coincidences, listen to things that are calling to you, because it's for a reason. There are things that are meant for you in life, and you're not always going to figure it out on your own. And that's why the universe or God is pushing you towards it. They have to send signs to you, actual physical signs, and people. They'll even send people to talk about things, so that you can all of a sudden like realize like, oh right, like I am really into that sport or into that activity. And I wouldn't have known that unless you had that little like trigger moment where it's like someone reminding you like, this is what you're meant to do. Another time that I had that like coincidence moment was I actually went to church in school. So when I was in college, freshman year, I joined like this I don't know, club. I just like was with a group of people who went to church. One day I go to the chapel at my school. It was like an evening thing. Someone just showed up. It was this woman, and she was a part of this sports. She said she was like director of sports marketing, something like that. She just like had like a speech, and I like, honest to God, I can't remember like at all what the speech was about. I don't remember like anything honestly about this meeting, except that she said, I'm part of the sports marketing division, or I don't know what to call it. Like, she taught sports marketing. Like, that like stood out to me, and I was like, why is that making such a strong impression to me? And at the time I was studying biology and chemistry, so I was like a biochem major. I thought I was going to do pre-med, and then all of a sudden I sort of realized that those interests were being driven by like external forces, and I kind of just like, honestly, I just tried out the major because I thought it would be a good fit, and medicine was probably, was not my calling in life. I don't think it like clicked with me. So I like went back home after, and I like thought about it, and I was like, I think I want to do something different. I think I want to like go into sports marketing. And okay, that wasn't the answer to what I was meant to do, because I know nothing about sports. And then I talked to my family, they're like, Kiara, you're not passionate about sports, like where is this coming from? And I realized that I just honestly wanted to do something creative like marketing. So I was like, okay, not gonna do sports marketing, let's just like generalize it to basic marketing, business marketing. So then I met with my counselor, and then we switched my major. I switched into the business school. Then I realized, okay, my whole life I've loved film, I've loved movies. Honestly, I wanted to be like a film minor, and that sort of like drove my passion for marketing and just the business school in general. So even though there's a lot of hard classes, I just like always had the hope. I was like, I need to get to that final stage where I am working on some amazing campaign for a movie. And you know, like I'm not even there yet. Like that's not my job right now, but like I was like, this is driving me, this is helping me go to class, this is helping me. When I was looking for internships, I was very like driven by that passion, and I ended up doing like a film internship, like more of a marketing internship, but for a film studio. And I just kept that like sort of drive, and it helped me throughout all of my education. It was sparked by that woman coming to the chapel at my school and giving a speech. And if I hadn't followed that, honestly, if I hadn't said, okay, maybe this is meant to be, maybe she started talking about this for a reason and it reached me for a reason. If that had not been a thing, I don't know where I would be right now. I think I would have still switched out of my major, but the thing is, like, I had to do it that year. If I didn't switch into the business school freshman year, you couldn't switch after freshman year, if that makes sense. So that decision needed to happen my first year of college. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to switch, and I would have been, I don't know, probably switched majors, I guess. But it was important that I tried to switch into the business school that exact year that I heard that everything happened, and it triggered just like a whole different interest in what I wanted to do. And I realized that that maybe my calling in life was different than what I thought it was. This hack I sort of thought of today, honestly, but it is something that I struggle with, and that is not letting your past define you. And I guess not comparing the way you grew up to the way other people grew up. I mean, everyone goes through hard stuff throughout childhood and throughout growing up. And honestly, it's probably more than you could imagine. When you meet someone, you don't think of all the adversity they went through and all of just like the things that affected them as a young person. And I guess my second hack would be to not let your past define you, or don't think that your life has to go a certain way because people that you grew up with followed a certain path. Just because your parents did something, just because they lived life in a certain way, they have a certain set of routines, they have certain behaviors, does not mean that you're going to fall into those same behaviors, routines, and patterns. And never think that that is going to be something that defines you or makes people look at you differently. I was thinking of this like comparison, but if you think about like a TV series, there's characters with like all sorts of different backstories. There could be a whole season where one character's backstory is not even touched on because what's happening in the current moment is way more important in that TV series than something that happened to them 10 years ago. And I think, they do spotlight backstories. Sometimes you'll get like, I forget what that's called, like a flashback. Like you get a flashback scene and it walks you through what happened in that character's backstory, like growing up. But like that's not the main point of a TV series. A TV series is all about what's happening in the present and how that's going to affect the future seasons. Don't let like the backstory take up your season of life or your episode that's happening right now. Like you're the main character and this is your story, and what happened in the past, like what affected you as a kid, does not have the most importance in your life. The most important thing in your life is what's happening right now, how you're reacting to things, what you have going for you right now, because I can tell you, you have so much going for you. You have the power to do whatever you want. And I can tell you that if you're watching this now, like you're absolutely the kind of person who can face life head on. Yeah, there's just been a lot of times where I'm like, well, I'm not going to meet the right person for me because my parents didn't, and I'm not going to have like a life full of creativity because my parents weren't creatives. They were more academically driven. And none of that is like, I'm not saying like I love my parents, like they're like awesome, but I'm like, that doesn't have to like write the story of your life. Like that doesn't have to be something that's like woven throughout your narrative. Sorry, I'm like getting like very like I feel like really deep. Yeah, you don't have to like weave your backstory into your present story. You can absolutely like have a fresh perspective, and other people don't see you for your past. It's not something that has to weigh on you. You don't have to like wear that stress, I guess, every day. Okay, we're gonna move on because I'm getting like all like deep and stuff. It's just because I'm tired. Okay, next life hack. Oh, this is a good one. Social media is not as important as you think. Okay, so I grew up like in the 2010s, and then why did I say it like that? Like, okay, I went to college in 2020, so maybe like honestly, I probably don't have as hard of a time with social media as the younger generations do. Like my youngest sister is like 14, and so she's got to be like in a way different league in terms of social media. But yeah, social media is not the blueprint of who someone is. A lot of my friends and people in my life conflate social media and someone's presence on social media with how their quality of life is. And I remember having a distinct conversation with a friend saying, well, she hasn't posted in a while. She kind of looks like she's not having fun. I don't think she's posted with her friends in a bit. I wonder if she's doing okay. Like, she's probably not having a great time right now. Hello, just because someone is posting like stuff that you don't think is what someone who's having a good time would post does not mean their quality of life is like any less than yours. Someone could be posting the bare minimum maybe like once a year, and they could be having an amazing life. They just don't choose to post it. And a lot of people like think, count the amount of times I said a lot of people. I've noticed that I say a lot of people in my podcast episodes. I wouldn't conflate the quality of something with social media presence at all. If someone's friendship is being posted about and there's been monologues of like how good of friends they are, that's on their stories and like in the descriptions of their posts, does not mean that they're like the best of friends. They could honestly be like very surface level, superficial friends, and they just love to post each other because they think that's gonna make the world think that they're best friends. And just because someone doesn't post about their relationship doesn't mean like things are going wrong in their relationship. Everything is way too people get way too, what's that word? Parasocial. I feel like the term parasocial is often related to celebrities and like keeping up with their lives and like reading in between the lines of like their social media presence and like paparazzi stuff. But you can also like be parasocial with people in your life. I've seen it so many times. Social media is not a direct reflection of how someone is doing in life, and you shouldn't be judging someone based off of their social media presence. So I don't know, just people my age like even struggle with that. I'll find myself being in a conversation and all of a sudden we're talking about someone we went to high school with, like their post from 2 days ago. I'm like, why are we doing this? It doesn't really mean anything. It's something they probably thought was cool, or maybe they are going through something and like maybe that is reflected in their social media. Why are we talking about someone's social media that isn't even, it's like a second-hand resource to how someone is doing? So yeah, I guess it's not even like, it's not like a primary resource. Why are we just going based off of second-hand resources? I feel like now I'm like in school, like talking about primary and secondary resources. So I think that's enough for that life hack. But yeah, totally don't spend like time reading in between the lines of other people's lives on social media, especially if they're your friends or they're people that you know or they're friends of a friend. Like, give people a break, like, honestly. So maybe that's not even a hack. Well, hopefully you thought that made like your perception of social media a bit better. But oh, this is another one, is your parents are just people. They're going through life too for the first time. This is their first time being a parent, and they are, I mean, I'm assuming they're trying their best. And I've mentioned this before, but living with my family has been an interesting experience as an adult. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like you're roommates with them, and it's also like you're friends with them, and it's like everything changes when you go from a child to an adult because you're no longer depending on them like a child would, but at the same time you depend on them for some things. So it is kind of like a weird situation, but yeah, good luck in like navigating the whole like parent and child relationship, because as an adult, I find myself learning about new things about my parents like every day, and like just different things that I didn't even think about as a kid. Like, oh, you like some of the things I like, and like our routines can be very similar. So yeah, I see my parents, I guess, differently than from how I would as a child. And so realizing that they're just people too is, I feel like, a big learning point in life. Turning point, I don't know. This is probably my last hack, and I might honestly make a second video because I love talking about this stuff, like just things I've learned. And I think a lot of times my sisters see me as being preachy, which I'm not trying to be preachy. I just like have like a sort of passion for like life topics. I just feel like they're not talked about enough. even in work environments, in friendship environments, in school environments, it's always interesting to hear what other people have learned from their past life experiences and how that shaped them. And I just found myself like so interested in all of that, especially when people have like things to offer and like advice. So I think it's like exchanging these life advice hacks are really important for growth. And if anyone is watching this and wants to comment one life hack they've learned, something that's made it easier for them to gain success or deepen friendships or deepen relationships, be my guest. Please put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say and what you've learned. The last hack is the more you eat fruits and vegetables, the more you'll crave them. I just like, this is my truth and this is my experience. I crave vegetables and fruits on the daily because I've been like feeding myself like salads and fruit and what else, like sweet potatoes. Like, oh, at the end of the day, like I like a mouth-watering fruit, cut up fruit in a bowl is like everything. So if you're struggling to eat healthy, just know that like you're gonna crave it as much as junk food, because I like truly do. A nice crisp juicy apple, sometimes it's like, oh, I need that. And the other times I'll be like, okay, I need like a cupcake or like ice cream, you know? So whatever, but definitely make sure you're getting fruits, vegetables, also water. I drink so much water every day, and it's because like it literally, like my body craves it, especially like ice water. Bro, ice water is amazing. People at when I was working in college, like at my job, knew me because of my water bottle, and they like asked me questions because I brought it to work every single day, and they were like, oh, that's your water bottle. I don't know, it's just funny because I was like always drinking water. So that's my last life hack and my last little advice tidbit. But yeah, I do think I'll make a second video maybe because I have more stuff I want to talk about. I think also, like, I didn't even get into like relationship advice. I can make like multiple videos on situationships, the talking stage, just like everything. I hope everyone's week has been going well. I don't know why I feel like there's like been chaotic energy in my life and the people around me's life. So I hope that the chaos is not affecting you too much. I don't know if like something's in retrograde or what, but oh my God, there's been a lot of chaos. There's been a lot of like emotions too. Lots of emotions. So take care of your mental health and your emotional health, and I will see you in the next episode.